County Internet Crimes Against Children's Unit got a cyber tip from the GBI about possible sexual abuse materials. They say that tip led to the arrest of Juan Hall Vasquez, a 23-year-old Noonan man. Deputies say they discovered Vasquez had 46 videos of children engaged in sex acts.
They were able to track down the IP address, the address, and the offender in this case, and take out warrants on him, which he was pretty quickly arrested on.
Investigators say after obtaining arrest warrants on 12 counts of felony child exploitation, authorities captured Vasquez when deputies were called to an unrelated event in which he was involved. After learning he had active warrants involving child pornography, deputies transported him to the Coweta County Jail. A judge denied bond in his first court appearance.
The offender's facing multiple charges. The investigation is still going on, and he may have some more charges on him.
Investigators say they now have a search warrant for all of his devices. They'll be doing a forensic analysis of them and say the investigation continues and more charges are possible depending on what they find. I'm Doug Evans, Fox 5 News in Coweta County.
Still ahead of responsible were car burglars. Fox 5's Tyler Finger live on Spring Street tonight in Midtown near where it all went down with the new information that we're learning. Tyler?
Yeah, Tom, good evening to you. Right now, the hunt is on for a pair of car burglars. Atlanta police say targeted vehicles inside this parking deck in Midtown this morning. Investigators say the car break-ins are the least of the suspects' worries because they're now wanted for killing a security guard.
I would have never thought in a million years that, this would ever happen to my family.
The family of 33-year-old Shadarian Jacobs has been left with heartache after he was shot and killed early Monday while working as a security guard at a Midtown parking deck.
It really just tragic what happened because Shadar wouldn't hurt nobody. End of the day, he was a family guy, and he was just working just to provide with his family.
Nicholas Jacobs didn't want us to show his face on camera, but says Shadarian was his cousin, and they grew up together.
He was pretty much like a brother to me. He was around since I was in Yeehaw also, and it's just a tragedy that it happened.
Atlanta police say the deadly shooting happened around 2 a.m. Monday at a parking deck on Spring Street. Nicholas says gunfire erupted after someone confronted car burglars. He says Shadarian wasn't involved and a stray bullet hit him in the neck while he ate. So far, police haven't arrested anyone, but investigators say there's video of the incident that they hope will help lead them to those responsible.
We're taken aback by just the
man with two live parrots sitting atop his hat, and one's on his shoulder. He's wearing a patterned shirt and a black cowboy hat. Officers say he threatened a man with a knife at a McDonald's and then stole his money. Police say the man wore one of the strangest outfits they've ever seen during a crime. I'll say. Police stopped a suspected burglar in the middle of a bizarre act. He was drinking gas. This is body cam video from an officer in Seattle. According to court records, the man broke into a family's home and ate some of their chips and pizza. It was a teenage girl who saw him and called for help. Now, when officers showed up, they found the man hiding in the family's car. That's the video you're looking at. This is inside of their garage, and that man was swigging from a can of gasoline. A hospital checked out the man before he went to jail on burglary charges. And police in Mesa, Arizona have a creative way to get drivers to slow down. They place mannequins inside real squad cars. The department says it's just one of the ways it's working to reduce speeding and deadly crashes. But many drivers say they weren't fooled, and it's pretty obvious that it's just a dummy driver. But you know what, Christina, I was just in Arizona literally yesterday.
Oh, really? Okay.
And
Did you see one of those?
I see why it has the reputation of having like the worst road rage in the country.
Oh, no kidding. Was it driving that bad?
I mean, like speeding like crazy. So
Wow.
I see why they probably
Worse than the folks here,
try to
because
get
we
creative.
got some
I'm telling you,
drivers in the
Christine,
ATL too.
they give us a run for our money.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's always worse somewhere else, right? All right, Alex, thanks so much. Well, when billions of dollars of pandemic-related relief money started pouring into the economy, it was inevitable criminals would grab what they could, and they did. But now the law is catching up to them. The Fox 5 team's Dana Fowle says the Justice Department reports some of that money was obtained to fund a murder for hire plot.
Yeah, the federal government has announced that it has charged nearly 3,200 people in pandemic relief money fraud. The government has cracked down hard on people and businesses as well who were alleged to have stolen the people's money, our money. In 2020, it was both political parties who agreed to sign off on $5 trillion in coronavirus relief money. So let's run some quick numbers from a 3-month summer crime crackdown. Attorney General Merrick Garland says arrests and pending investigations are connected to $8.6 billion in stolen money. In total so far, the federal government, as we said, has charged nearly 3,200 defendants for offenses related to pandemic fraud, and they've seized more than $1.4 billion in relief funds. So that's good. There are 371 defendants, and the Associated Press reports more than 60 of those are part of organized crime. Now, some of the cases involved a whole bunch of things. $7 million in missing Medicare money. A New Jersey man stands accused of filing $124 million in false tax returns. That's one person. One group of cases goes back to a Milwaukee street gang that federal prosecutors say wanted to buy guns and wanted to use that money for a murder for hire plot. It's a challenge to get this money back, that's for sure, once it's gone and used, but the AG's office is certainly trying. Now, the most poorest part of the money that was pushed out during 2020 and those subsequent years and went into the economy was for unemployment funding. People needed it, and they needed it fast. That's where the everyman was dipping in. That's where your neighbor, the man or woman around the corner, was taking a little bit here and there, and that added up too. They're looking for them as well.
Thank you, Dana. Still ahead, a new honor for legendary coach Vince Dooley. We'll take you to the intersection that has been named for him. That's next. People. Authorities say the shooter left behind a manifesto. A new tropical storm is strengthening into a hurricane, and it's expected to hit Florida by Wednesday. Authorities urge residents to brace for major impact. Former President Trump vowing to fight back after a federal judge today set the trial date for his 2020 election case. What makes that date significant and why Trump is appealing? And in Georgia, Trump's former chief of staff testifies that all the election-related duties were part of his job. But there's one allegation in the indictment that he said was the biggest surprise. And is an impeachment inquiry into President Biden in the works? Speaker Kevin McCarthy hinting towards just that. More on what he had to say over the weekend. Students at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill were sheltering in place earlier today after police responded to an armed and dangerous person on or near campus. The order was lifted later in the afternoon, and no one was reported injured. Students were advised to go inside and close all doors and windows from 1 to 4:30 in the afternoon. This follows multiple shootings over the weekend: Oklahoma, Boston, and Louisville. But the one getting the most attention was in Florida. Tonight, a community mourns 3 lives who were shot and killed in Jacksonville, Florida. Authorities are now investigating the shooter's motives. The following footage could be disturbing for some viewers. NTD's Jason Perry has the details.
A family member said this about one of the victim's daughter.
Now we got to find the words to tell her that her dad's would die.
This past Saturday, a tragic shooting in Jacksonville, Florida, claimed 3 lives. Authorities have now identified the shooter. The man's name is Ryan Christopher Palmeter, a white male who killed 3 black people at a Dollar General store around 1 in the afternoon. Shortly before the shooting, Palmeter had evaded security officers at Edwards Waters University, a historically black Christian college. There, he filmed himself on TikTok, putting on a bulletproof vest and a mask. Afterwards, Palmeter shot and killed 52-year-old Angela Michelle Carr, who was sitting in her car, a 19-year-old store employee, A.J. Laguerre, and a 29-year-old customer, Gerald Gallion. Then, the shooter killed himself. The AR-15 rifle Palmeter used had swastikas drawn on it. Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters said the shooting was racially motivated, and he referred to writings left by the shooter.
Portions of these manifestos detail the shooter's disgusting ideology of hate. Plainly put, this shooting was racially motivated, and he hated black people. I want to be very clear that there is absolutely no evidence that the shooter is part of any large group.
The sheriff also confirmed reports saying Paul Meter had a history of mental illness. The shooter's record showed that in 2017, he was forcefully sent to a mental hospital for evaluation. Florida law allows authorities to send someone for mental evaluation against their will if they are considered a threat to themselves or others. And when reporters asked Waters how someone with a history of mental illness could buy a gun, the sheriff said because that happened when Paul Meter was 15 years old. He was considered a minor at the time, and therefore it may not have appeared on the background checks when he purchased the guns. Spokesman for the National Police Association, Sergeant Betsy Banner Smith, added this about the investigation so far.
Really applaud law enforcement for getting the motive out there so very quickly, for releasing that manifesto so that people can understand why this happened. You know, we believe when we can read the writings and see the videos of these horrific criminals that we can learn from them and we can prevent these types of crimes from happening in the future.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced that his office is directing $1.1 million to improve security at Edwards Waters University and to support the victims' families. Jason Perry, NTD News.
Tropical unaffiliated tour of many of the same areas took place instead.
A downtown doom loop walking tour showing San Francisco's drug and economic issues was sold out for a Saturday tour according to a listing on Eventbrite. However, it was suddenly canceled, and a different tour that was unaffiliated ended up happening instead. According to the San Francisco Chronicle, a notice was sent out canceling the Doom Loop tour less than a day before, saying, quote, "Unfortunately, the substantial media interest means that it is not possible to preserve my anonymity while publicly posting the tour's time and meeting location." The tour listing says the anonymous guide is a city commissioner and co-founder of San Francisco's largest neighborhood association. And, quote, "We will view the open-air drug markets, the abandoned tech offices, the outposts of the nonprofit industrial complex, and the deserted department stores. In recent years, open-air drug use, homelessness, and closing businesses have been in the spotlight for the city." Now the tour was scheduled to start right over here in this area. And when I showed up to investigate, not knowing that it was canceled, I saw a group forming, but it turned out to be for a different tour. The simultaneously scheduled tour was the Tenderloin Walking Tour, and it went through the Tenderloin and Mid-Market neighborhoods, which are hotspots for homelessness and drug use. It was led by Del Seymour, a homeless advocate and nonprofit founder that helps struggling people find employment and helps addicts find recovery.
Because even you got people in the community believing we're in a doom, whatever it is. And that's really depressing. So already being in this situation, then have people tell you how bad you are, how bad you look, how bad you smell.
The tour showed the Tenderloin sights and unique history. It didn't ignore the homeless and drug issues, but it also showed the many efforts to help people get back on their feet.
We not only pass out meals to people, we help people find housing, we help people find educational resources.
Seymour has been doing the free tour 3 times a week for 17 years and says he does it to show people what the often avoided area is really like.
I want people to learn how to learn a better way to deal with their unhoused neighbors in this neighborhood or their own neighborhoods.
The tour was just under 2 hours long and had around 70 in attendance. It ended at Seymour's nonprofit Code Tenderloin, where free lunches were waiting for attendees. Reporting from San Francisco, Jason Blair, NTD News.
Staying in California, a brawl at a mall in LA triggers a substantial police response. NTD's Stephanie Sakal reports on that and multiple skirmishes involving youth around California.
A chaotic scene unfolded at Del Amo Fashion Center. What at first many thought was another flash mob robbery turned out to be a dozen of juveniles fighting each other. A brawl involving a group of teens at the Del Amo Fashion Center triggered a significant police response in Torrance on a Sunday afternoon. Calls reporting the incident on the 3,500 block of West Carson Street started coming in around 4 p.m. as informed by Torrance Police Department Sergeant Salary. Responding officers arrived at the location and confirmed a fight among a group of juveniles. According to Celery, one witness mentioned a firearm being discharged, but no gunshot victims were found. Celery continued to say that nearby businesses didn't require evacuation, and eventually, the young individuals involved were escorted away from the premises. While the exact number of people involved in the fight isn't clear, police estimated around 1,000 juveniles were present as spectators.
My God.
Additionally, there was another instance of a conflict involving young individuals in Emeryville on the same Sunday afternoon. According to the Emeryville Police Department, approximately 50 young individuals caused a disturbance inside a store at the Bay Street Mall and had to be escorted out. About an hour later, around 200 to 250 young people gathered at the mall, leading to several fights near the courtyard. A gunshot was fired near Bay Street and all one way, but no injuries were reported. In a separate incident near Elm Street, a minor was stabbed and taken to the hospital with no life-threatening injuries. These incidents serve as a stark reminder of the challenges law enforcement agencies face in maintaining order during public gatherings. Authorities are continuing their investigations into both situations, emphasizing the importance of ensuring the safety of all residents. Stephanie Sikal, NTD News.